today I kind of, give myself a little bit of clean shade, Don't worry, they'll start growing back, so you see them in the next couple of weeks. Anyway, welcome back to the show. As always, it's the Request Show. Chris Honors right here. Thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all for following us on our social media platform. And if you haven't, please do. Anyway, on today's show, we got two special guests joining us on the show. But my first guest is all the way from New York. He's a singer-songwriter. He's an amazing young guy who's into the industry, but part of their song is all about how to deal with mental health. I met with this young guy and we talked about mental health all the way through. Part of what is impacting our life up to this day, doesn't matter what age you are, but mental health is a big issue, and it's important that we talk about it in depth and let other people, give other people more opportunity to express how they feel in order to get help. But myself and Don, we talk about it at a very good length. So I want you to sit back and hear some of the conversation, how they use music to become the tools when it comes to mental health. Take a look at this. When we come back, we'll talk more about it. We'll be right back. Hello everybody, welcome to the Jury Question. As always, I'm your host, Chris Honors. Thank you for sticking with us. And thank you for following my Facebook, Twitter, and also on Instagram. But guess what with me? It's my very good friend. We woke him up this very early in the morning. Let's start with the four, okay, from New York, and say, hey, come on the show today. Well, he's right there with us. Today we want to talk about mental health issue. And this young, amazing guy is one issue, I believe, his band and everyone is really, really pushing on. So then thank you so much for coming on the show. You're a singer-songwriter and you are in a rock band. First of all, I want you to tell us about yourself personally, and then we'll talk about the band, and then we're going to talk about mental health issue, which is the main reason why you're on the show today. So let's get to meet you. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. My name is Dom. I'm 28 years old from New York, and I sing for the band Nowhere Left. And yeah, we like to touch on a lot of mental health things. We've all kind of been through our own personal experiences and traumas, and we know that other people out there do that as well. So we want to kind of write music that can connect with other people and bring people together, because the world can be such a dark place, and we want to really bring those people together instead of pushing people further away.
Awesome. You want to bring light into people's lives. So I mean, I'm very impressed when I saw your post, and you're really talking about mental health, how it's not being talked a lot more, and it would be nice and good for everybody to use different medium or different platform to really get the word out there and continuously. So let's come back to yourself. I believe yourself, you've passed through the process, and that prompts you to actually bring it out to the forefront of people. So in general, do you really think that put it this way, what would be the best way for us to really continue talking about mental health like we're doing right now?
I think just putting it out there into the world, just like how me and you connected. I just made a post and put out there my feelings, and you saw it and resonated with it and reached out to me, and now we're here having a conversation about it. And I think that that's the best way to do it, is to just get people talking about it. If you feel something, put it out there, because you never know how it may impact somebody else. Words are powerful.
And what would be some of the reasons why people would hold back not to talk? Like you actually mentioned, like we're talking right now. What would be some of the reasons why people hold back not to talk?
I think a lot of it could be just fear of judgment. I think that's the biggest thing with anything in social media, is that people are afraid to be judged. People are afraid to be attacked, because there's so many people out there who like to spread hate for some reason, and I feel like that comes from either some kind of insecurity or jealousy or some kind of trauma that they may have been put onto earlier in their lives. But I think that most people are afraid to share how they feel, because they're just afraid of what other people are going to say, what other people are going to think. We had a comment on our TikTok last night where someone said that they resonated with a song that we posted, but they were afraid to express their feelings because they were afraid that people were going to make fun of them and call them names. And, that's just such a terrible thing. You should not be afraid that people are going to kind of ridicule you for just saying how you feel. you want to be able to get those feelings out there, because the more that you sit with it and just don't talk about it, the more it's just going to eat at you and eat at your mental health. And that's the worst thing. You never want to just sit with it and not talk about it, whether it's with a friend or, somebody that you trust, a therapist. I think the biggest thing is just getting it out. You do not want to sit alone in your thoughts, because that is where things get dark, and it's just not good. So I definitely recommend to anybody out there who's watching to always talk about what they're feeling.
That's really good. Good point, Demo. Well done to that. And in your own experience as a friend, in your own experience, what really pushed you to the stage that, you know, within you, your bands and everyone, you want to come out, you want to speak out, you want to use music as a medium way to go in. And like you mentioned, there's a testimony for someone listening to the music, and then things start to, come out this way. What really pushed you in there?
I think my biggest inspiration for that is really just I've been there. I've been through these experiences. I've had hard times in my life. And for me personally, I know what it's like to kind of be at rock bottom, to sit alone in your thoughts and not really have someone there to connect with. And it's a bad place to be, and it really affects you as a person. It can change your whole being. Um,
Mm,
I just actually reconnected with a friend that I hadn't spoken to in over a year, and she was telling me, because back then I was going through a lot, and it was very clear that I was depressed when I was with people in person. I wasn't very present. I was very in my head and not really there in the moment. Um, and since then, things have gotten a lot better for me. And she's even made comments saying, "Wow, you seem so much better. You seem like a different person. You seem more alive and in the moment." And it's really true that you know these things that you go through can really affect how you are. And um, you know, being someone who comes from that, I don't want anybody else out there to struggle or feel like I felt, because I music that can kind of connect with people so that they can relate to it, and that they can feel less alone and feel like, okay, if this person can get through it, then I can get through it.
mm.
And that's really the biggest inspiration for me.
Wow, wow, well done, Demo. I mean, you're really speaking up your mind, and that's a good thing. Now let's come back to your music, right? As a rock band, what kind of lyrics or what way do you guys, form your message through your music to really use that to help people?
We like to touch on things that are personal to us to make it as real as possible, and just hope that it connects with other people, because we know that a lot of people go through exactly what we go through.
Mm,
So we've written songs that are about relationships, about betrayal, about abandonment, um, sometimes about drug problems, suicidal ideation. And we really just we touch on everything that we've kind of been through personally in our lives. Um, and the biggest thing for us is we want to kind of show people that there is a light at the end of that. And we have a
wow.
lot of songs that we haven't released yet, which I'm very eager to put these songs out. But we kind of have this concept album that we're working on, and it's kind of like a story of a relationship that I was in, and it
Mm,
goes from kind of being in love with this person and just being in a very toxic relationship and all the things that it kind of does to you. And it
mm,
goes from there all the way to the point of where you can't take it anymore, and you have these kind of suicidal thoughts and feelings that you just don't know where to go. And the album wraps up at the end with this understanding of, you know, I know that I've been through all these things. I know that it's affecting me, but you know what? I'm learning to live with that feeling. I'm learning to realize that, just because these things happen to me, it doesn't mean that it defines me, and that I will overcome this and I will be better on the other side. And it's just a matter of, kind of getting through these feelings. And that's really kind of what the record speaks about, is it's just, you go through these different chapters almost of this kind of trauma. And by the end of it, you're like, you know what? I've absolutely hit rock bottom, and now there's nowhere else to go but up. And that's kind of what our band represents, and where the name Nowhere Left came from, is that we've all had this point where we felt like we had nowhere left to go. But
mm.
at the same time, we realized, well, now we have to go up because we can't get any lower.
True.
And it kind of inspires us to just keep going through all those hard times.
Wow, wow. I like that.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
good. For my viewers at home, if you're just catching up, the band are called, they're based in New York, okay? They are New York rock band, and band name is called Nowhere Left. So amazing. I like the way you kind of illustrate that. Now, my next question for you would be more on this mental health issue. Do you think it affects more younger people than adult, or do you think it's of both sides?
I think it's on both sides, but I think that the younger generations are speaking about it more.
Mhm.
I think that with the older generation, they weren't really taught how to talk about it. I've had conversations with my own parents where I've tried to explain my depression to them and explain to them when I get into dark places. And a lot of times they don't really fully comprehend what I'm talking about. I've spoken to my father about it. It kind of just went right over his head. He doesn't really, he's a very like, I don't really know how to describe it.
Kelvites.
Very, very old school, kind of like,
Like
man up
Kelvites.
kind of thing. Um, so he definitely really doesn't understand it. My mother is like a lot more understanding of it. And even though she doesn't fully get it, like there are times where I'll sit down with her and I'll have to kind of like drill it into her head and be like, this is a serious thing. This is what I'm feeling. And I need you to kind of like
Mm,
somehow connect with me on this, and she's great because like I have a therapist that I talk to every now and then. I don't see her like every week, but she's there when I need her and it's great. And my mom has even offered to sit in on calls with her and kind of be able to be there and listen and see what I need, which is amazing. I think that's
mm.
a big thing that I would put on to any parents out there as well, is that if you have a child or anybody in your life who is kind of struggling with mental health, please respect them and try to understand that you may not fully get what they're going through, but if they are reaching out to you and they feel that they can come to you, that's so important. And I think it's important to just kind of be able to be there for them, whether you can fully 100% connect with them or not on it. I think it's super important to just let them know that you're there for them, because a lot of people feel that they can't talk to their parents or they feel that they're just alone. So I think
Y-
that's very important.
You're you're very, very right there. Sorry to come in there, Demo. I think you're very, very right there. It's a lot of parents. And but another thing again is kind of, it's two ways as well. Like you mentioned earlier on, if the parents doesn't understand what you're saying, it's difficult for them to come in to actually listen to what you're gonna be saying. And that is big challenge. So it's like, oh, the home is not okay. How can I come and tell you what I'm going through? If the parents are not okay themselves, mentally, physically, how can they be able to listen to what the child or the adult or somebody will be telling them? So there's very, it's complex, but the real theme, I believe, we should mention is be able to find a medium on how you can speak out. Things again, I'd like to ask again is friends. It depends on the kind of friends you kind of hang up with as well. Friends you hang up with do play a role in the lifestyle of how you feel, isn't it?
100%, 100%. I'm very lucky to have surrounded myself with people who I know are there for me no matter when I need it. There are times where I've messaged my friends and been like, I'm very, very low right now. I could really use somebody, and they'll drop whatever they're doing and they'll be like, come over, or let's meet at this beach and just kind of sit by the water and talk. And
Very good.
um, I'm very fortunate to have people in my life like that. Um, but I do also know the side of when you don't have people like that. I have had very close friends that I thought were very close at least, but turned out that they weren't really there for me in the way that I needed them.
Mm,
And that happens. Sometimes you kind of got to weed out the people that aren't really there for you to find the people who really are. And there's no real advice to doing that. I think that just kind of unfolds over time, and as you go through life, you'll know who's in your circle and who isn't. um, but yeah, I think that it's super important to just have somebody there who will be there full heartedly for you, because it's very rare. It's very rare to find those people. And the people that I have it's a very, very tight circle of people, but it is people who are there for me, and I can't thank them enough for
wow.
being there.
Wow. Right. I mean, mate, look, I, 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 I really admire your strength. To be very honest with you, I admire the energy, the thoughts and the power behind it, especially when you mentioned when you get to the bottom rock, there's nowhere to go. You have to look up and, elevate the light in. So that is so good. Now, let's come back to your music. Do you gig regularly or once every month? How do you work around it?
So for us, it's a little weird actually. We kind of came from a different band. We were this band under the name Call It Home for about 9 years, and we were like a metal band.
Okay.
Um, we went through some like lineup changes and things like that over the course of when COVID started, and so during COVID, we did this kind of rebrand into what we are now, which is Nowhere Left, which is more of like a rock band. And so because of that, we actually haven't played any shows under this new name.
Okay.
Um, we're going to start doing that this year, now that the world is kind of on the right track. Um,
They're
so we're
right.
very excited to be playing some shows soon. But when we were under the other name, we were touring regularly, like every couple months. We would do tours around the U.S. We
Hmm.
hit Canada once, which was great. So we're hoping to continue with that kind of flow, just be able to tour around the U.S. every couple months, and then hopefully start doing some international stuff. We'd love to come over to Europe and
Please
play out
do.
there.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Let's talk about it after the show. That's a good
Absolutely.
thing. So, back to mental health again is uh, do men do feel comfortable talking to more of women, or do they feel comfortable talking to men, or how does that kind of play out?
Um, I think it's different for everybody. For me
Hmm.
personally, I don't really have like a preference of gender. I think it's just whoever you can find that comfort in.
Hmm.
Um, I have a one of my all-time best friends. His name is Mark. I feel so comfortable with him. I could tell him literally anything that I feel, and I know that he'll resonate with it and know exactly what to say to be there for me. Um, and then, I have some lady friends as well who I know that I can open up to and really be my full honest self with. So for me, at least, I don't think it really matters on gender, on who you're speaking up to. I just think it matters about who allows you to feel that comfort, because as much it is up to you to feel that way, it
Hmm.
really is kind of up to the other person too to give you that feeling like, okay, this is someone that I feel that I can find solace in and that I can confide in.
Hmm.
So I think that that's super important too, is to make sure that it's coming from both ends. And you want to be able to have a conversation like me and you are having, where it's just fully open and you feel comfortable. You don't want it to kind of be like this thing where like, oh, I don't know if I should say this. Maybe this person won't react the right way, or you want it to just be full comfort and just feel like you could say anything that you need to say.
That's it. That is the whole spirit, and that's the whole conversation from the start to nearly to the finish. And do you think sometimes too, when we are too afraid of saying things, that does kind of have an effect on us, especially when you're afraid of not being judged? Do you think that we overthinking things, or we over kind of not let loose of what we have in there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that kind of goes back on what we were talking about earlier, where it's just like, if you sit with it, it's going to eat at you. And there was actually an incident a couple months back. It was back in August.
Mm,
Me and my friend Mark, we were on a little bit of a road trip. We were planning to kind of go around the U.S. and we're also photographers. So we were just going to go around and take photos and stuff, because we weren't really doing shows at the time. So we're like, let's go do something fun, go out, take some photos. And we got 2 days into the trip. It was supposed to be about 2 weeks. And we had to turn around because my mental health actually, for some reason, hit such a low. And we were 2 days in, and I was sitting there, and I don't know why, but I just started crying. And I told him, I was
mm,
like, I don't know if I could do this for two more weeks. And like, it's terrible for me to feel, because I feel like I'm letting him down. We were supposed to do this fun thing. Um, and on the way home, I had called my therapist, and we were just having this open conversation, and Mark was there to listen also. Um, and a lot of it was because I was sitting in my head too much. We were on these long drives. It was just me and him. So if there was a point where we weren't like talking too much, I would be sitting in my head, and I would be thinking about all these things that I don't have answers to, or things that have happened to me that have been affecting me, but I haven't really been focusing on. And we kind of came to this conclusion that, I've been through these certain things and don't have answers to them. And that's why it's just kind of like I overthink it in my head all the time.
Mm,
And it got to that point where I broke and I couldn't even continue on our trip because it affected me so much.
mm.
Um, so I think
Hey,
it's,
yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, so I think it is super important to talk about it because if you don't talk about it, then you're going to end up in the same scenario that I was in, where it's going to eat at you until you break. And obviously you don't want to break. So,
True. I just want to kind of go a little bit deeper on that. That break side, when you go break down in terms of you're talking to your friend and then for some reason your mind kind of zoom away from that conversation. Maybe you went quiet and for some reason you're able to kind of come back again and then you couldn't, you're helpless. You don't know why and why your mind keep playing at you. What could be the reason that triggers it in between when you're with your friend?
I think the biggest thing is, at least in that scenario too, that I realized was the silence. I think
Hmm.
that when we were in a scenario there where we were on hour-long drives, freaking, I don't know, 5, 6 hour drives. Um, and, of course you talk to one another, you have each other, it's good company, but, there's only so much you can talk about sometimes. And I think that
True.
when you're on such a long period of time, sometimes you just sit there and listen to music and see the sights. And, that's amazing. It's amazing to do what we were doing and be out on the road and see
Yeah.
brand new places and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that that's such a great thing. It's one of the
Hmm.
biggest things we love about being musicians and touring. Um, but sometimes, when you have things that have been affecting you quietly and you don't even realize, that silence can be very harmful. And I think that it's really just when you're silent and you're not talking, it just gives you more time to think and it gives you more time to overthink. And you may think one scenario in your head and then you
Hmm.
start questioning it, and then it kind of spirals into this snowball effect where you're just, oh, now I'm thinking about this thing and that thing and why did this happen to me. And it becomes this huge thing where it's like all of this stuff kind of piles on your shoulders, and the weight just gets too heavy and you snap.
Hmm.
So
Tim, we can talk this from now to tomorrow. We're not going to have an end to it. But there's one more final question I really want to talk to you about would be what triggers you to see the positive side? And when you get to that positive side, what are the elements or functionality that you put together to make you see the light and stay in that and keep going? Even sometimes when you have that difficult time, you still turn around and find that light and shine up.
so it's a few different things for me. Part of me has kind of trained myself to think that, when I'm at my low point, sitting there in that low point and kind of just wallowing isn't going to change it. It's not going to make me better. And it's a very hard thing to kind of wrap your head around. And like, you really have to train yourself to kind of think this way and pull yourself up. Um, but I think it is very powerful to kind of be in your own thoughts and be like, you know what? I can either choose to sit here and let this eat at me, or I could do something about it. I can start thinking, okay, why did I start thinking about this? What can I do to stop thinking about this? What can I do to change whatever this topic may be?
Mm,
Um, and I think just the important thing is take it step by step. You don't want to look at it as
rush.
this big thing you have to accomplish and overcome right this second. You just want to take it step by step so you can slowly make a little progress.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's a big thing that really helps me kind of stay on that course.
Mm,
Um, Another thing is just, I'm like I said before, I'm kind of inspired by other people and seeing other people who are kind of feeling the way that I felt, and it makes me want to be better for them too.
mm,
It makes me want to just kind of be the best version I can be so that I can help somebody else who is going through the same thing. And it's not always easy, like I have my moments where I feel super low and I absolutely have to have somebody to pull me out of it.
yeah.
Um, there's no rule book for this stuff. It's just everybody's different. Everybody kind of has their own way to cope with things. But I think for me to kind of be inspired to keep seeing that light and keep pushing forward is just I want to be able to make an impact and be there for other people. So
Wow, thank you for that. I so much appreciate that. And I would say to my viewers out there again, I saw them who actually posted this issue regarding mental health that's not talked about. And that was how I spotted it. And that's how I believe other people who are listening to this conversation today will be able to learn how to speak out, seek out for support, look for the right people around wherever you are, and getting more support because mental health is a big, big, big issue. Then before you go, I know you guys are launching your single coming up on the 4th of March. Can you give us more highlight about the single?
Yeah, absolutely. We did a quick little cover on TikTok of a song called Loner by the artist Maggie Lindemann.
Mhm.
And it kind of took off and people really loved it. So we ended up recording the full song and we have it set for release on March 4th. You pre-save it on Spotify now. It'll be out on all streaming platforms. And yeah.
Everyone out there, please go and give these guys support. They are called Nowhere Left. And they're based in New York. Spotify or social media platform is going to be happening there. Give them a support, buy their songs, and as they are part of what they do is to be able to support mental health, talk about it, sing about it. So go give them support. Demo, thank you so much for coming on the show today. You're on my Facebook, so we're gonna keep in touch from time to time. We would love to want to bring this more on a live show, probably, and talk about it because mental health is a big issue. It doesn't care how old, how young you are. It comes for you, and what you need is to light it up. So thank you so much for coming on the show today, and we wish you guys best of luck.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you for having me, and everybody out there, just stay strong and stay positive.
That's the word. Thank you so much. Okay, viewers at home, stay tuned for more of the show. We got so much coming your way on the Joe Request Show. We'll be right back after this break. Take it away.
Welcome back to the show. As always, it's the Joe Request Show. If you're just joining us, myself and Don, we're talking about mental health. And it's part of the Joe Request Show. As always, we want to make sure mental health is one of the areas we're going to be talking about from time to time. And it's good that we have people like this who can show more confidence about themselves and be able to express their own experience and also to give other people the opportunity to do the same. So please, wherever you are, if you're going through any difficult time, you need someone you trust, someone you can talk to, please don't keep it to yourself because mental health is real. So it's good we talk about it and it's good that we express it this way through music, through the different media platform. Dom, they have amazing music. Please, if you are tuning in, you're watching it, make sure you go listen to their songs. You know, support them, buy their songs. These guys are doing amazing work, and from his own experience, it's all about to make a good wave there for them. So let's make it happen. Anyway, coming up on the show today,